The Story of Kwanzaa by Donna L. Washington, illustrated by Stephen Taylor. This book is dedicated to my mother, who taught me how to make dreams live. DLW. To my family and friends, and all the souls who helped this whole process materialize. ST. Personal note from the reader. Kwanzaa is about African heritage and pride, and I myself do not have direct African heritage. But my book readings are for all people, just as all humans long ago did come from Africa. The principles of Kwanzaa and a better understanding of African cultures and history could help make a better world for all of us. I dedicate this reading to my stepmother, whose African American family welcomed me in with open arms. Kwanzaa time has come at last. Now it is time to light the candles on the kinara. It is time to fly the bendera, listen to old stories from Africa, wear African clothes, and eat good food. It is time to make gifts for friends and celebrate the good things in all people. Kwanzaa is not a religious holiday like Hanukkah or Christmas. Kwanzaa is an American festival that honors African America. It starts on December 26th, the day after Christmas. It is a time when we stop and remember the past as we work together for the future. The history. Some of our ancestors came from Africa. They were proud and beautiful people. Some of them lived in great kingdoms. Their rulers wore ivory, gold, and precious stones. They were great warriors. Some of them lived in smaller family groups. They traveled together with their livestock. Some lived in small villages or in the rainforests. They worshipped their own gods and had their own festivals and holy days. They made music and art and told the stories of their ancestors. When the Europeans came to Africa, all of that changed. Many of the Africans were captured and taken away on ships. They did not know where they were being taken or what was going to happen to them. When they reached land, they were sold as slaves. Much of their traditions and history were lost. The enslaved Africans created new traditions, and they made up new stories. Many of their stories were about a very smart rabbit. Br, shortened from brother, or Brer Rabbit, was very small and always in trouble. Brer Rabbit did not use his muscle to escape his enemies. He used his brain. These stories were really about the slaves and the slave owners. The enslaved Africans fought against slavery in many ways. In their stories, they spoke of freedom. In their churches, they sang beautiful spirituals about freedom. They even stole away north to freedom. As time passed, many Americans began to see that slavery was wrong. America divided into two parts. In the northern part of the country, many people were against slavery. In the southern part, many people favored it. In the north, the people worked in factories and used machines. They did not need slave labor. In the south, the enslaved Africans worked on huge farms called plantations. The southern farmers worried that if slavery ended, there would be no one to work in their fields. The north and south grew less and less friendly with each other. When Abraham Lincoln became president, the southern states feared he would tell them to free the slaves. They decided to secede from or leave the Union. They wanted to be their own country. America had a civil war. At the end of the war, the North and South reunited. Slavery was outlawed. The Africans were finally free. The African Americans were free, but they did not have many of the civil rights offered to other Americans. Civil rights are the basic freedoms that every citizen in our country has. These rights were won for African Americans through the Civil Rights Movement. Because of the work of many people, African Americans have the right to vote, attend any school or college, get good jobs, live where they want, and sit anywhere they choose. Each new right was won only after great struggles. In 1966, a man named Dr. Maulana Karenga was one of the people involved in the Civil Rights Movement. As part of his fight for African America, he created a festival. He called this festival Kwanzaa. The 7 Days of Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is a word that comes from Swahili. It means first fruits. It is a celebration of the bounty of the earth. Swahili is a language that is spoken all over Eastern and Central Africa. Dr. Karenga chose this language because he wanted African Americans to remember that the whole of Africa was their ancestral land, not just one country in Africa. Kwanzaa is based upon 7 principles or beliefs. We call these beliefs the Nguzo Saba. There is one principle for each day of Kwanzaa. Even though we celebrate Kwanzaa only once a year, we are supposed to keep the principles of the Nguzo Saba every day of our... Even though we celebrate Kwanzaa only once a year, we are supposed to keep the principles of the Nguzo Saba every day of our lives. The first day of Kwanzaa is called Umoja. This means unity. Only by having strong families and creating a community will African Americans be able to maintain unity. The second day is Kujichagulia. This means self-determination. People must stand up for themselves. They must tell others what they want. They must not let anyone else decide their future. Ujima is the third day. We must work together and help each other. We must take responsibility for our problems and the problems of those around us and help each other solve these problems. The fourth day is Ujamaa. This means that we support African American businesses. The fifth day is Nia. Nia means purpose. African Americans must make it their purpose to maintain the dignity of their ancestors. It is important to maintain families, build communities, attend colleges, and open businesses. Their purpose must be to claim their rightful place in the world. Day 6 is Kuumba. This word means creativity. Our ancestors made music, danced, and created beautiful works of art. It is for us to create our own art. We must work to make our community proud. In the evening of Kuumba, we celebrate the Karamu. Karamu is the great feast of Kwanzaa. The last day of Kwanzaa is Imani. On this day, we celebrate ourselves. Imani means faith. We must have faith in our own beliefs and in our abilities. We must have faith in each other and our dreams for the future. Getting ready for Kwanzaa. The table. There are some special things that belong on the table at Kwanzaa time. One of these things is a straw mat we call a mkeka. The mkeka reminds us of our traditions. It is a place to start building our future. The mazao and muhindi belong on top of the mkeka. Mazao are fruits and vegetables. They stand for unity. They represent the rewards of working together. Muhindi are ears of corn. There should be 1 ear of corn for each child in the family. Children are the center of the Kwanzaa celebration. They represent our hopes for the future. The cup. At Kwanzaa time, we share a unity cup. We call this cup the kikombe cha umoja. Everyone takes a sip out of it. It stands for our togetherness or unity, the first principle of Nguzo Saba. The kinara. We also use a kinara, a candle holder, at Kwanzaa time. We call the 7 candles Mishumaa Saba. They are red, green, and black. These are also the colors of the bendera. The bendera is the African American flag. It was originally created by Marcus Garvey, a revolutionary who worked for the welfare of the African Americans. The red is for the blood of the African people. The black is for the face of the African people. And the green is the hope for new life. There is a proper way to set up the kinara. As you face the kinara, 3 red candles should be on your right, 3 green candles on the left, and a black candle in the middle. We light a candle for each day of Kwanzaa. On the first day, we light the black one. On the second day, we light the black one and a red one. On the third day, we light the black one, a red one, and a green one. We continue this pattern until Imani, when all the candles are lit. The kinara stands for the first African men and women. The celebration. There are many different ways to celebrate Kwanzaa. Many people start by asking, Habari gani? That means, what's the news? Then someone, usually a child, answers with the Nguzo Saba of the day. Then you light the candles. After you light the candles, you talk about the belief of the day. You might tell a folk tale, talk about a famous African American, or tell how the Nguzo Saba affect your life. It should be a time to share your thoughts. You can stay home with your family, or find out what is going on in your community and join other people. After the candles and the sharing, people call harambe. It means let's pull together. Food is a very big part of the celebration. Every night of Kwanzaa, you can try dishes from places where the ancestors of African Americans lived. One night, you could have Zambian food. The next night, you could have food from the Sudan. Then you could try Ghanaian food. This is a good way to warm up for the big night. Karamu should be a great feast. On the night of Karamu, there are many ways to enjoy the feast. You could have a dinner party or go to an African restaurant. This is a night you share with many people. Karamu. Karamu is a very special night. This is the night of the biggest party of Kwanzaa. One of the most important parts of Karamu is the food. There should be a lot of food. At the feast, there can be African and African American music, dances, art, and stories. You could also have speeches. It is a celebration of African American heritage. It is a time for people to tell others about themselves. It is a time to remember that people who have worked to make our lives better. It is a time for people to tell others about themselves. It is a time to remember the people who have worked hard to make our lives better. It is a feast of the past and the present and our dreams for the future. Kwanzaa is a celebration that asks all of us to take care of each other and honor ourselves. It is a time for friends, family, food, and fun. So light the candles, fly the bendera, eat. Kwanzaa yenu iwe na eri. May your Kwanzaa be a happy one. You can read these on your own. Things to make at Kwanzaa time. Cowtail switch. Bene cakes. Words to know. That was The Story of Kwanzaa by Donna L. Washington, illustrated by Stephen Taylor. And this is EDU Kids Space. Subscribe for more stories, books, and lessons, and if there's something in particular you'd like to learn about, leave us a message in the comments.